Now, I am going to be making this into a movie very simple as to why this channel is probably mostly going to be My Hero Academia What If movies. Naruto What If still will be coming out. They'll just be in series. But I got a second channel. It's called Red Blaze. It's going to be linked down below in the description. That right there is my reacting channel. I currently only have 2 videos up because I literally just made the channel. But let's begin. Look, okay, first off, before we even begin, well, we are beginning, but normally whenever I see a what if that involves all for all, it normally just makes all for one, but make it even stronger. And yes, it is a very pretty much exactly what this quirk is going to be. You see, but it won't actually be that. You see, all for all is going to give Deku the unique abilities of the first 2 abilities, which regular all for one is the first 2 abilities. The second ability is called Quirk Fusion. This allows Deku the ability to essentially take half of a person's quirk and mix it with another person's quirk. Doing this will automatically give a person a whole new quirk, if not have the same abilities in one half in the other half, similar to Todoroki's ability, which is, half hot, half cold. Doing this, Deku could also take that half of that person's quirk and add it onto his own quirk within his system. So he cannot fuse all for all with anything aside from one for all and all for one. Other than that, nothing else will be able to fuse with them. Deku will also be born with the strength enhancing quirk of all for one. Of one for all. He will also be born with Float and Black Whip, because we're going to be rolling with 2 theories. Number 1, the theory that Inko is the granddaughter of Nana Shimura, and the other, I think daughter or granddaughter, I don't remember exactly which one. And the other theory that all for one is Deku's father. This whole story goes the exact same. Inko will have remnants, and I mean very small remnants. Remnants of one for all mixed within her quirk. When all for one end up hitting her up, and all for one and one for all connected through the nut, it ended up fusing together those cells. It ended up forming into a very overpowered quirk. I did not explain the 4th ability. I just now realized that. Let me explain that real quick. The 4th ability gives the user the very interesting ability called Quirk Booster. This allows Deku to permanently boost somebody's quirk in power, so he can't do this on himself unless he's still a quirk that he's already boosted. So yeah, because his quirk all for one is already boosted, there's no need to make any of his other quirk boosted, since they're going to automatically get a little small boost. So how one for all boosts the user's quirk, it's going to boost it a whole lot more, and I mean a lot. So time skip. Izuku's around the age of 4 years old, and his quirk is labeled because this is a completely different doctor, and number 1, all for one is not able to be seen, okay? The quirk all for one isn't able to be seen, but 2 of its abilities, but 2 of the other quirk abilities is able to be seen. Quirk Fusion, which is an overpowered ability, the doctor explains. It allows Izuku the ability to basically cut someone's quirk in half and fuse it, or just completely fuse 2 full quirks together. The doctor explains he has absolutely no idea what this quirk is truly capable of and worries for human society. And it says that Izuku's already seemingly born with 2 quirks. The 2 quirks are considered to be these black tendrils that Izuku can spawn from any part of his body and are very dangerous according to what the file says, and a unique ability that allows himself to float. Also some other abilities, but we're not able to see this. Doctor explains that those 2 quirks he might have attained on accident when combining 4 quirks in order to gain those abilities as a child. Inko doesn't know this, and neither does Izuku, but little they know, Izuku was born with this ability. We have to time skip a huge deal past Izuku's life, since Izuku never told anyone about his combining ability. Him and Bakugo are very close friends, and they battled a lot of times, but it wasn't never any eviscerating horrible battles. Izuku and Bakugo are seen as the only kids that have a chance to get into U.A. So we time skip to around the time the Sludgeman attacked Izuku. This is whenever Izuku awakens all for one for the first time. Well, not awakened for the first time. He always knew the quirk was there, but he hated the quirk. The quirk was seen as evil and villainous to him. It made him hungry for quirks, but the other side of his quirks always cooled him off. And this is Izuku's first time taking a quirk. So yes, the Sludgeman goes at him like normal. Except he's pretty angry when this happened, due to an incident that happened in school, as Izuku lifted up his hands with his eyes bleeding a bright red as Actually, this isn't Izuku's first time taking the quirk. Izuku's first time taking the quirk was during a huge villain attack that happened in his school, which we're just simply not going to cover because I really don't care. We're gonna say the villain quirk that he stole was a lightning manipulation. Many people believe that Izuku just simply split the villain's quirk. Actually, no one believes that since they don't know Izuku can do that, but he did steal the villain's quirk. But the moment he did this, he discovers All for One. And once this happened, he was pulled into a dark world where All for One himself stood. All for One was able to see him and he had an interaction with Izuku. A terrifying one that Izuku will literally never forget. The man that stood before him. He saw him as the devil himself, and Izuku was horrified and just terrified of this man. But the only person Izuku always thinks about was his father, Hasashi. All for One always thinks about him. Lightened up his day. But after Izuku basically, stole this villain's quirk, his first instinct was to split the quirk and combine it with Black Whip. When he did that, he ended up making electrical tendrils explode out of his body that ended up defeating the villain. But Izuku straight up just stole the sludge villain quirk. No splitting it, no nothing. But when he stole the sludge villain quirk, the quirk was boosted instantly. A pretty insane amount, so Izuku will not transform into a hideous sludge monster, but instead will have complete control and manipulation over the sludge, its density, all of it. And Izuku just continues to walk away. The sludge villain is now a normal human. He thanks Izuku a lot, will not stop. And basically, Izuku tells him, just turn yourself in, or I'll kill you. When he gets the sludge villain bright red eyes, it just signifies, yeah, he's not playing. The sludge villain quickly turns around and runs. Izuku would immediately shoot out his black tendrils and hold him down. As All Might would land before saying, I am here. Izuku says, hey, All Might, you're looking for the sludge thingy, right? All Might will say, yeah. He'll say, you're looking at him. As he throws the sludge villain to All Might catches him. And he'll say, oh, thank you, young one. Up, and away. As Izuku goes home, he sees a black car in front of his house. Izuku immediately has an annoyed facial expression, but he just continues to walk. He ends up getting inside. His Inko could say, Izuku, they're here again. He'll say, I know, I saw him. As in a voice will say, don't worry, I'll handle this. Izuku says, Dad, you don't have to. And Hasashi just walked out. As Hasashi walked out, he would immediately approach the man, telling him to leave his home. They're not going to do anything with his son simply because of his grandfather's mistakes. They explained that Hasashi, you were not born with the fire breathing. You were not born with All for One, but your son was. And we need to receive his quirk at once. He can use this quirk to be strong enough to stop All for One. Hasashi will yell, he doesn't fucking care. They need to get the hell away from his property. They aren't touching his son. These men are government officials. They'll look at Hasashi before saying, Hasashi, you will regret this. Izuku then would one day walk up to Hasashi around the 10-month training when asked Hasashi to train him. And then he'll go in and say, well, Hasashi, Dad, your quirk, it's fire breathing, right? Hasashi will say, yeah. Izuku looked above Hasashi's head and he saw a powerful quirk. It doesn't even say All for One, it just said powerful. He then would think, how strong is it? Hasashi was saying, honestly, he has never tested its limits. Izuku hears that and looks completely flabbergasted. So as one day Hasashi and Izuku were around in the car, Izuku shook Hasashi's hand for a little handshake moment. All of a sudden, Izuku quirk. It felt extremely powerful. It felt too powerful. It felt godly. There's no way that's his quirk. It's too strong. It's way too strong. It gotta be something else. There's no way that is his father's quirk. He'll look at Hasashi, dead serious. How strong is it? Hasashi didn't explain. He hadn't tested the limit, so he really don't know. Izuku didn't think. Oh my god. What, can you destroy a continent with this or something? This is insane. Sure, I guess. This Izuku would leave, and officially the black car would one day grab Izuku and straight up kidnap him. They have quirk disabling weapons, and everything around him is just quirk disabling. Izuku will cut off guard and he ended up waking up inside of a prison. Izuku looks around with a look of irritation before yelling, let me out! He goes towards the door to activate One for All to punch the door down, but nothing happens. He gets irritated, he tries to activate all of his quirks, but he's just stuck in the room, powerless. A man then walk into the room clapping his hands. Alright, kid. Welcome to Tartarus prison. You can just call me the Warden. I'm here to make a deal with you, kid. You take the quirks of the world's most dangerous villains, and we'll let you and your family live normal lives. But in return, you have to fight the world's most dangerous and killed, by the way, most dangerous villain out there, all for one. Izuku straight up yelled he isn't gonna do anything. They then would scream at Izuku that all for one is a danger to all of society. He's the man that entered All Might. He's the man that has the quirk to steal and give away quirks. Izuku, you're lucky to be the grandson of him, to be born with that power. Your father was an orphan. We tested his DNA years ago when we discovered how powerful his fire breathing was and the fact that it could zap quirks away. Wait, his fire breathing can do what now? I'm changing it up. All for one isn't his father. It's going to be his grandfather. But yeah, Hisashi fire breathing is so powerful that they can literally zap away quirks. And basically the quirks will be combined with his fire breathing, which is like his fusion quirk. That's where Izuku get his fusion ability from. But Izuku's like, I don't care. I'm literally not doing this. They'll laugh directly in Izuku's face before telling him, you don't have a fucking choice. They lift up their hand, threatening him. Izuku then will yell, what part about I said I'm not? You don't understand. They'll laugh before saying, a lot of it. Izuku then will blitz directly towards the Warden and throw a punch, but the Warden would dodge instantly, grabbing Izuku, slamming on the ground with chains forming out of the Warden's hands. As Izuku's held down, the chains begin to burn as he begins to scream with the Warden yelling, or we'll just kill your whole family. Your cousins, your mother, everyone you know and love will die. Izuku will be screaming, you'll be still going to U.A. You won't say a word to this All Might. Izuku now has an annoyed look. Every time I take a quirk, Izuku would say, tears start to go down his eyes. I need more. I need more and more and more until I'm no longer, until my other side won't be able to stop it. Every time I take a quirk, the hunger flows. I feel that person's pain, agony, all of it. I feel everything they ever went through in their life. I can't keep taking quirks. The only thing I do is make people be in more and more pain. Why should I want to take a quirk? And they'll explain to him. Though he understand that part. That's pretty fucked up. But I don't care. You may feel like taking a quirk is wrong, but boy, someone quirk in here is a mental block. This allows people to free themselves from all mental weaknesses or anything that is holding them back. Imagine what you could do with that quirk. You could free yourself from your own weakness. Izuku hears this and thinks of this. You could be free. You won't have any issues or problems that'll be holding you back. So you ought to use your quirk and steal another quirk. You won't be bothered by their pain. You probably won't even much know it's happening. Izuku agent says, I agree. He didn't want to make the man come forward, who's simply, just a regular guard there. He explained the deal. The guard then explained he's not going to make his quirk get taken. He didn't want to tell him, you'll have the biggest promotion of your life plus $37 million US currency. He would immediately say, deal. Deku say, this man's really just sold his quirk. Deku lifts up his hand before closing his eyes. I'm sorry. The man would fall on the ground as he instantly begins to scream horrifically. Izuku then would look, opening his eyes up, says, bro, stop fighting back. The more you fight back, the more this is going to hurt. So please, stop. He then would yell, you telling me to stop? It feels like my literal soul is getting pulled out. Part of it is. Deku then would end up taking the man's quirk, with tears kind of going down his eyes, but he immediately shakes them off and would turn around and look at the Warden. I did it. Are you happy now? The Warden would say, actually I am. He then would turn around before saying, next. They'll go towards a cell. This cell has multiple, like 1,000 more of the quirk counseling things that Deku has. They didn't explain who this villain is. This villain is called Hydron. Was the former arch nemesis to Endeavor. Endeavor has an arch nemesis just like All Might does, which is All for One. So look at him. Hydron has the very powerful water manipulation. This allows him the ability to completely control water on a molecular level. He can spawn water in space, breathe water, you get the point. Water everything. Basically the polar opposite of Endeavor. Aside from his personality, which is just far worse than the number 2 pro hero. Deku could be seen looking at this saying, so everything water related he can do. He possibly can do things that water shouldn't be able to do. Deku will say, a tear will go down his eye. He'll walk forward and he'll look at the man, placing his hand on the man's head. The man could be heard screaming for a very long time. Even after Izuku took his quirk, the man is still screaming. Izuku explains when they fight back, the pain only grows more and it only lasts longer. This is honestly all his fault. The man then will be on the ground screaming for the next hour. And Izuku says it'll only last around 2 hours. They tell Izuku, good. Too bad you're going to be put back into a cell. Izuku hears those words, his chains shot out everywhere, and they shot all over the ground. Izuku hit a couple of flips and got backwards. Immediately, he'll open up the palm of his hand as a water spear appears. Now, mind y'all, Izuku has all of their memories. He knows how to use their quirks. Though all the moments in life and pain that they felt, it's no longer there. Also, his mental capacity is insane. Broken has memories that are absolutely perfect. He won't forget anything, and he's mentally, he's over already 600 years old. I think that's way too much. He's already over 200 and something years old due to basically the amount of memories he has from other people. So technically he's not, but he just have all their knowledge, memories, and just how to use their quirks. Immediately he throw the water spears towards the Warden. The Warden would laugh before one of the chains lashed onto Deku as a bullet shot clean through Deku's back. Deku immediately falls on the ground and falls unconscious. I know what y'all thinking. A bullet? A fucking bullet? Yeah, it's a quirk constantly bullet. Also, once this bullet is shot into a person, it immediately emits a toxic gas on the inside of a person's body that will knock them unconscious or counter the quirk or kill them. Izuku's very powerful, so it only knocked them unconscious. Izuku wakes back up inside of that room as he rushes at the Warden, who is, by the way, outside the glass door. As Izuku rushes in and punches the glass door all of his might, his hand feels like it completely shattered. He'll fall on the ground yelling that his parents are going to be in here. His father, Asashi, is an absolute demon. They hear this and they just straight up tells him, please, your family isn't on their way. You see, your family's dead, kid. Izuku would freeze, a look of shock on his face, as Izuku hears a voice in the back of his head. Kill them. Take their quirks. Show no mercy. Izuku balls up his fist and his eyes begin to glow red. Kills him. Killed him. Killed him. Killed him. Izuku would yell. They noticed the red eyes as immediately they'll say more. More, the doctor would think. Well, the Warden would think. Izuku rushed towards the glass and punches it. And he begins to punch it rapidly. Each time he punches it, his knuckles begin to bleed and bleed and bleed. He would yell, I'll kill you! I'll kill you all! Everyone is able to see the fact that Izuku quirk is starting to slip through. So quickly enough, a few guards would rush into the room to put more quirk canceling material inside, but Izuku would rush at them and immediately punch them. But the guard would immediately punch Izuku back, grab a baton and slam it into Izuku's head. Immediately the guard began to zip around Izuku, hitting him with it over and over again. Izuku quirk, this guard, super speed. Zooming around him like just a complete bullet. He's as fast. He's faster than a bullet, okay, but not extremely. So Izuku struggles to see. So he's just zipping and bing, 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 boom. If he can move a certain limit, that frequency, he's able to just try to slam niggas against walls. Izuku's unconscious, and this man puts such tiny quirk canceling materials in the room. Izuku isn't able to see them with his naked eyes, so he isn't able to find them. But it doesn't matter though, since his quirk is still sort of active, and it's like a very low glow. You have to pay strong attention to notice the fact that it's glowing. But Izuku's in that room and hearing a voice constantly tell him, maybe you should kill them. Join me, Izuku. Join your grunt. Join your family. They've killed your mother. They've killed your father. It's only right that you seek revenge, my son. My grandson. Everything about you comes from me. That quirk, that power, all of it's from me. Izuku hears this and only ball up his fist more. I need more power. Immediately he lunges towards the glass door once more. But this time he has something within his hand. Immediately they all look on in confusion like, when did he grab that? You'll see a tiny little, very little metal looking thing. It's a little knife that's on the guard's hands. That normally it isn't going to be able to be seen, but it's one of the few things that can actually break these doors. Izuku slams it directly into the door as the door shatters almost instantly. Izuku looks on confused. He did not think that was going to happen because he physically can just break this thing in half with no difficulty. How the fuck is this strong enough to break through a door that he can't even touch? Whatever, Izuku thinks, as he then will begin to walk forward with a look of just pure annoyance. Immediately, all for one, on the inside of his head will say, "Do it." Kills them all. Izuku then would say, well, more like Izuku instincts take over, as immediately blood shoots out everywhere. Multiple people have water. Well, the human body is 70% water. So they literally exploded. With Izuku walking towards the Warden, who Quirk is the most useful. He ends up taking the Warden's quirk, and then he proceeds to take the quirk of the guy who had the bullet speed quirk, simply because he doesn't have he don't have any type of speed quirk. He then goes around the prison, killing lots of people, lots of people came at Izuku. Every time someone came towards him, he didn't kill all of them, only those who hurt him for no reason. So yeah, he killed them, took their quirks, and he knocked out basically everyone else. And he comes across a door, a massive door. He'll walk towards somebody who has a key card. He'll unlock the door, and on the inside resides a little girl. She could be seen shaking with tears going down her eyes, keeps on yelling and screaming, "It was an accident, it was an accident, it was an accident." Izuku immediately pulls out a piece of paper, and it has a list of everyone's quirks inside the building. And he finds this girl's quirk, Blood Cardinal. Yeah, it's another Toga ship. Why? I feel like it, I ain't gonna lie. Honestly, with most movies, the ships are probably gonna be Toga, Momo, or Suyu. Why? Because I just like those three the best. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. But we can time skip though. Deku approaches this girl and asks her what all can she do. She explains that it was an accident. She killed someone. She killed 3 people. They were bullying her, and all she did was cut them. She cut them once. Once she cut them, in the moment their blood made contact with her skin, they all exploded. Izuku thinks that's awesome. He straight up says out loud. Off mistakes though. She just looks at him as if he's insane. He'll walk towards her before saying it was simply a quirk awakening. How long have you been in here? She explains since she was 4. Izuku just now realized this shit is corrupted. He'll grab her and say it was an accident. It was simply you not having any time to train with your quirk. Mind you, Izuku's only been in this bitch for a week. He'll tell her, "Come on, we don't have to be here anymore." She explains, "What about the Warden?" Izuku then will open up his hand and show the Warden's chains. He then will say, "Dismantled." He then will end up grabbing her as they would run. While they are running, she'll say, "Who's gonna run the prison?" He'll say, "The guards are all knocked out. They'll wake up in about 10 minutes after we leave." She'll say, "But she has a few friends here that were in here for a stupid reason as well." Izuku would turn around and say, "Show me them." The first door, it's a door, half the size, actually bigger than the one that Toga had. The door will burst open where you'll see a kid shaking. Red hair. He'll look up and will have tears in his eyes. Name, Ichiro. Deku will say, "Come on." Ichiro gets up and runs out. In case you guys do not know who Ichiro is Kirishima's first name. Okay? That's his first name. And then, that's his first name in Japan. But I'm just gonna call him Ichiro Kirishima because Ichiro Kirishima and Kirishima Ichiro don't sound right. But yeah. Deku then runs and finds another door. And that door has a thunderbolt on it. We already know who this is. And she'll say, after this guy, there's just one more, and I honestly wouldn't say he's my friend. Well, actually, sort of isn't my friend. He's very uncomfortable to be around. But he's in here for nothing. Well, he's in here for a pretty dumb reason. They open up the door, and there's Kaminari, who would immediately look and see Toga and Ichiro and this other kid. He'll yell, "Toga? Ichiro?" He'll rush towards them and give them a hug, and he'll start crying. When he looked outside the door and saw nothing but bodies, he looked horrified and will quickly back up. Izuku then walk towards him and would pick up a piece of paper, or more just punch the wall, and it would shatter to reveal basically a piece of paper. He'll pull out the piece of paper and read up on Dinky Quirk information. He would immediately look around for someone, then he finds a person. Quirk, rubber. It allows the person to turn their body into rubber at will, and basically every eternal limb, even their bones, become rubber. Itsuko ends up snatching his quirk and secretly splitting Dinky's quirk in half and putting the rubber with the other half of his quirk. And then the other part of Dinky's quirk that he has, which is basically just a lightning part, he just put it back into Dinky, fusing that quirk with that quirk. Basically, Itsuko just put three halves of a quirk into one. I don't even know how to. Basically, it's like he took the whole quirk from the rubber dude, then split Dinky's, then combined that, and then combined Dinky's other half. It's a way for Izuku to do so he basically combined the quirks without needing to give Dinky extra quirk. He'll tell Dinky, weakness removed, let's go. They'll find a purple door, and immediately Dinky will say, we're freeing Mineta too? She'll say, yeah. And Izuku will walk towards the door, open it up, and see a little kid. He's like, how old is this dude? They'll say, same age as us. Izuku's like, excuse me? Look at him. Hey kid, why are you in here? Mineta says, I'm not a kid. I'm 15. Says, oh my god, damn, you're short. So what you in here for? Mineta says, according to my parents, my quirk was too trash, and they paid to put me in her. He's like, people can do that? He says, Mineta's like, apparently they were friends with the warden, and the warden doesn't like me very much. Deku's like, oh my god, y'all are in here for dumb reasons. He'll grab his newly found group and he'll say, alright then, let's go. Quickly enough, they run out the prison, where then they will ask Izuku a question. What is his quirk? Izuku will turn around and look at him before saying, with a calm voice, if I tell you this, will you see me as a monster? They always say no, very quickly. You just saved us, freed us from a hell. Izuku then will straight up say it, all for one. More or less all for all is what it's called. It's what my father calls it. The quirk gives me the ability to steal quirks. I'm able to steal quirks from others and also give away quirks. But that's only two of my abilities. I'm able to split quirks in halves and fuse two halves together to create a new quirk. I'm also able to boost quirks. It makes a quirk far stronger, around 5 to 10 times stronger than what it was normally. They then will tell Izuku that his quirk seems to be awesome. Deku says it is, but it had a weakness. I saw all their memories. I experienced all their pain the moment I take a quirk, and a piece of that soul is added onto my own. He then will grab onto each of them. Well, more like they all will hold hands as Izuku tells them to. They all will float up, and then they all get pulled into Izuku's vestige world, where you'll see the souls of all the guys who quirks he stole, but they're all chained up and being held down. Izuku explained, this is the vestige world. This is where everything exists, everything holds here. I must find my father and mother's graves. They were both killed the day they kidnapped me. Izuku will go towards them, where he will go to one location that he can think of, his aunt's house. His aunt sees him. She breaks down in tears, rushes towards him and hugs him. Explaining, where was he? Izuku explains what happened. They kidnapped him. They took him. His auntie, who doesn't know the truth, but his cousin eyes grow wide. He immediately would say, you're looking for their graves, aren't you? Izuku would nod. They'll show Izuku where Inko and Hasashi are buried. First off, Izuku just completely breaks down. Everyone sees this. Afterwards, as he's breaking down, Hasashi's soul will float upward, or the spirit of Hasashi's quirk. Only Izuku can see this, but he sees almost as if Hasashi's flames and its ability to absorb the energy from quirks is taking itself away. Izuku sees it as it flies into Izuku. And Hasashi quirk has will of its own. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but Izuku then sticks his hand out and held it on their tombstones, and his energy flows downward into their heads, fully taking both Inko and Hasashi quirks in the process. Once this happened, a piece of them are literally forever with them. Inko and Hasashi are the only ones within the vestige world who aren't chained up. And Izuku then would turn around before saying, come on, we have to go. Damn, it's been 29 minutes? But we have to go. Immediately, they'll get up and Izuku's aunt will say, Izuku, where are you going? Izuku then would tell her, I'm sorry. I can't live. I can't just do this. My friends, they don't have homes. They don't have anything. He'll look at his aunt. And you guys don't want me here. It's obvious. It's all good. His aunt will tell Izuku that they will take him. Like, there's no need for him to be out here alone like this. Izuku then would finally tell them he's not going to stay. He has to get ready. He has to train. He has to go to UA. He has to make sure his friends are straight. After this, Izuku would return to his home and he saw a note on the wall. And it said, "Give me my fucking money or else you're kicked out." Izuku grabs the note and the note would just become completely torched. Fire everywhere. Izuku then walks inside where then he'll see a little thing sitting down. This thing being Nezu. Nezu would immediately stand up and explain who he is and explains how the security cameras in the prison showed everything. And honestly, well, of course, they contacted me since I am the smartest creature in the world and I knew exactly of you. Izuku hears this and says, "What, you want to send me back in there?" "No. All of you are wrongfully put in there. And I have an option for you guys. Join UA and you'll be allowed to live at UA with everyone else. Of course, we'll have to build dormitories, but it won't really matter." Izuku hears it and says, "Sure, why not?" Nezu's like, "Oh, wait, is that easy? But you still will have to take quirks from higher ranked villains. But things could get better. You might be able to gain more and more powerful quirks. And eventually we will try to search for someone or a villain who has a very powerful emotional resistance quirk. Something that will allow you to be completely immune to the hardships of taking someone's quirk and experiencing all of their dark past history and trauma." Izuku will say, "Deal." Immediately, he would then look on over to see fucking Toga, Kaminari, and Mineta all basically just looking at him. He'll explain, they can come with you. And basically, they all go off where Toga is beginning to get trained by pro hero Vlad. Kaminari is training with Izuku, and Mineta is also training with Izuku, while Kirishima is training with his idol, Crimson Riot. I think that's his name, some shit. But yeah, Crimson Riot, I think it's Crimson Riot, but it don't matter. He's getting trained with that dude. The dude, heart in his hair. Yeah, that weirdo. So, time skip. After this, everyone is now done with their training, and it turns out Toga quirk wasn't the ability to where, someone blood touched her, they would explode. That it is a ability of a quirk. Her quirk, true ability, is to not only, drink blood and shapeshift into that person, but her quirk is full on out blood manipulation. She's able to literally summon and manipulate blood at will. But when she has blood from a living source, it's much, much stronger and much more dangerous. So, final time skip. Well, I won't say final, but skip. Around the first day of school comes. None of them had to take the entrance exam, so there's no point of it even being covered. As this happened, everyone is moving into the dormitories when they literally see like a whole house aside from the dormitory. And Bakugo approaches this house, thinking, of course, the number one student gets a literal home to himself. He walks inside and puts his things down, and he sees an M on the door, and he thinks that stands for master bedroom. He goes into it and opens it up, and he sees someone he was not expecting. Izuku. He marches forward and yells, "Hey, Izuku, what the hell are you doing in my room? In my house?" Izuku actually just looks up at him and says, "Kazuki? Yo, Kachan? Bro, what you doing here?" Bakugo straight up yell, "You're in the master's home." The number one student looks at him and says, "What makes you think that?" Bakugo said, "It's the biggest one, and it's sitting right beside the UA dormitory, plus it has golden on it, and it has 1S, stands for number one student." Deku just straight up looks at him and says, "Get the fuck out of my house." Bakugo hears those words and he says, "Bro, what happened? What you mad for? I thought we was friends." Deku says, "We are, but what you just said really pissed me off. Get out. You're in my house. I've been here for months." Bakugo hears it and thinks, "Excuse me?" Deku then would approach him calmly. "Get out." It's instantly Bakugo ends up getting wrapped around with water particles as he's picked up and literally sat outside the house. Bakugo looks completely confused as he then sees more another room that has a K on it. He thinks there ain't no way. As basically Bakugo has to be like forcibly to go into the actual dormitories, while Izuku Mineta and Izuku Mineta, Toga, Kaminari, and Kirishima all have their own freaking house. Though it is kind of together, they just have a whole lot of more room, space. And, they literally have halves of the houses to themselves. It's all cool. So time skip. Everyone is now entered the class where everyone is could be seen being confused whenever Izuku Toga and Kaminari walks in the room. Kirishima and Mineta still had to take it simply due to the fact that their quirks aren't as great as these other three. But everyone just looks at them in confusion aside from Kirishima and Mineta. Everyone say these guys didn't test with us. They all say yeah, they didn't test with us either. Even Todoroki and Momo say they didn't test with us either. Everyone begins to look on in confusion as Izuku goes and takes his seat. His seat is at the front of the class, and it literally has like a full blown good chair and everything. Izuku sits down. He didn't straight up say, "All right, y'all can stop staring at me." Everyone literally everyone doesn't. Everyone just keeps looking. Izuku turns around, annoyed. You can stop staring at me. They did what asked, bro, who are you? He didn't straight up say, oh my god, I'm Izuku Midoriya. Now please stop. They would slowly start to stop. He says, thank you. Now Aizawa walks into the room, and the moment he walks inside, Izuku immediately whole attitude completely switches. He immediately begins to say, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It's you. It's definitely exactly who I think you are. Literally, Izuku rushes towards him and immediately begins to, spirit spawn a book that literally appeared out of nowhere. Bakugo says, where do you keep those things? Bakugo just straight up yelled, and everybody turns around, look at him in confusion. He's like, long story. And Izuku just straight up says, so I automatically noticed by the face and by, well, your quirk. Aizawa's like, how do you know my quirk? He says, I can literally see it. But he begins to write down his book saying, I need to know more. Aizawa is just like, yo, are you good, kid? Deku's like, I'm great. I'm in a perfect mood. Explain. And that's all. He just bags back a bit like, I do not got time for this. Turns around and just looks at all the other kids. All right, put these uniforms on and meet me outside at ground beta. Everyone proceeds to leave, and Izuku's in the locker room. He ends up changing. Kirishima thing never happens, but the Mineta thing actually never happens. And it's simply due to the fact that Mineta has been inside of a prison for literally no reason his whole entire life, aside from the fact that his quirk is trash. So that moment just never happens. But something that does happen is the fact that Toga follows them into the boys' changing room. Like, Izuku straight tells her, girl, get out. She's like, why? He's like, you're a girl. She says, and? What, you discriminating against me because I'm a girl? He says, this is the boys' changing room. She says, Izuku, I already saw it. And Izuku just literally straight up pushed her out and closed the door. Bakugo looks at him with that look. Deku's like, don't you dare. Don't you, I see y'all. Die, you little shit. Deku rushed at Bakugo. Bakugo immediately just begins to laugh as he starts getting chased around the room. Everyone's just like, bro, I mean, it was kind of obvious by the way that the two of them were flirting just then. And that's whenever Izuku turns around and looks at all of them. You know what? Whatever it is we're going to do out there, I promise you, I'm not holding back. I'm going to make sure I embarrass y'all now. Y'all playing with me. Y'all playing with the wrong one. And they literally just turn around and everyone's like, whoa, so scared. Deku hears that, turns around, oh, you being sarcastic? You being fucking sarcastic, bitch ass nigga. You try to be fucking sarcastic? I will beat your motherfucking. And Bakugo just grabs him and says, come on now, young one. Deku's like, did you just fucking call me young one? Yeah, I called you young one, you little shit. And they ends up leaving. They all end up making it outside the ground beta, and Toga had the chance with the girls, and yeah, she didn't like them very much. They all would ask her, so what's up with her and Izuku? And Toga's like, how does everyone know it's the first day? She'll say turning red, so you die. It's due date. She didn't want to say she sort of has a crush on him. Turning red, saying ever since he, saved her life. They didn't would immediately just begin to, immediately start, whatever the fuck it is girls do. I know, niggas tease each other, but I think they, supporting her or some shit. I don't know what the fuck it is they doing, but girl shit when there's relationship stuff. But yeah, they're doing that. Time skip. They all make it outside, and that's never Izuku will be the. Well, actually, no. Bakugo gets the ball thrown at him, and he gets the same score as in canon. Izuku, on the other hand, cracks his neck and activates One for All. He begins to dance a little bit before saying out loud, 30%. And he immediately rolls back his hand and yells, "Smash!" Immediately, a huge wave of energy was released forward and ends up straight up zooming past Bakugo's score, like way past it. And Izuku got around, I'm gonna say, 2,000 meters. Everyone is surprised as I would yell, "You win 30%. I said 100%. Deku straight up tells him, "With my strength enhancing quirk, I can't go 100% or else this is going to happen." He opened up his hand, it's about to do it as I said, "Stop. You just said, or else this is going to happen," meaning that there's a side effect. Don't do that. He's like, "Oh, you sure?" "Yes." Okay. And Izuku just doesn't do it, as I would immediately face palms like, "Oh my god, I hate kids so much." He would think. And Izuku ends up basically just leaving after this. Well, more like the next few tasks happen. As soon as the next few tasks start, Izuku is the first one up. He immediately gets the ball again, riles back his hand, he yeets it into space. Clean out of here. Nah, I'm kidding. Next few tests, Izuku just begin to absolutely decimate them. Literally being a complete and total show off. As this happened, Ochako slowly started to get attracted towards Izuku. Though Toka doesn't notice this, the other girls do, and they immediately think, "This bitch is going to get herself killed." Shit, I'm not involved in that. It's very clear that Toka girl is fucking crazy. Real shit, I have absolutely no idea how long this has been paused. Absolutely none. I think I covered like the grip test, the ball throw, and all that shit. If not, I'm gonna redo it, but just not now. I think I already covered that. I think I might have paused it on accident. Fuck it, we just go continue because I'm pretty sure I didn't pause it in no big moment. If so, I'm literally just gonna rewatch the video and see if I fucked up, and then I'm just gonna edit the video, and I'm gonna add the rest in. But Izuku could be seen speeding through with the his speeding bullet quirk, and then combine it with 30% of One for All, making him 300 times faster than a speeding bullet, and he blitzed Ida. Bakugo pulls him aside and questions Izuku about all the new quirks, when only quirk Izuku had was the ability to conjure up black whips. After that, somehow after fighting a lightning villain, he was able to conjure up lightning whips and have a lightning aura around him when he used float. There was nothing about no super strength quirk that involved reddish black lightning. Izuku tells him he'll explain everything, but he also can get a room inside of the little home. Time skip, Izuku could be seen, well, the day is over, and Izuku will get approached by someone, this being Todoroki, who would actually push Izuku and tell him, "You follow me." Izuku will follow Todoroki just because, he came off a little aggressive. Izuku follows Todoroki and says, "Yo, my guy, calm down. You don't have to be so aggressive." Todoroki shot a huge ice wave towards Izuku. Izuku immediately lifted up his hand, and, a wave of water was shot forward, clean out of his hand, and boom, a hole clean through the whole ice wave. Izuku then lowered his hand. "Yo, what the fuck is that about?" Todoroki now has an annoyed look on his face. "Don't play games. We're fighting right here, right now." Izuku straight up tells him, number one, that's using your quirk illegally. Number two, I'm not going to fight you. I literally just Izuku instantly dodges the ice wave. "You." He says, looking irritated, "You know what? I wasn't going to at first." He cracks his neck, but looks like I don't have a choice. He instantly rushes at Todoroki at blinding speeds, appearing right behind him. Goes in for a Detroit smash, but as Todoroki stumps his foot, an ice wave shoots upward, but Izuku's fist goes clean through it, and the shockwave hits Todoroki directly in the back. This ends up sending Todoroki flying. Izuku ends up disappearing and appearing right behind Todoroki, using his speeding bullet 300% and 30%, and catches my guy and straight up slams him onto the ground. Before Todoroki shot another ice wave, but the ice wave turned around and ends up shooting back towards Todoroki. Izuku then will jump upward before yelling, Jet Ray. Ends up shooting a huge blast of water towards him, as instantaneously, Izuku ends up activating his sludge quirk as sludge shot clean out of the ground and latched onto Todoroki. Todoroki sees and just thinks, "Ew, what the hell?" as the water attack flies directly towards him and slams directly into him, just for Izuku to be right in front of him. As he grabs Todoroki by the head, as Todoroki begins to float upward, Izuku begins to go throughout Todoroki's mind where he finds what's wrong with him. You jealous, nigga? Izuku says, don't tell me you jealous, bro. He straight up just lets Todoroki down before saying, bro, you jealous of me. And all this stuff about your father, bro, let me explain something to you real quick. First off, stop resenting your fire. He explains to him, Todoroki was like, you went through my head. Deku will say, I mean, yeah, why not? You was trying to fight me for no fucking reason, so of course I went through your head. I had to see what was going on inside of that noggin of yours. Todoroki didn't yell, stay out of my head, you bastard. As he stands up, Izuku will straight up tell him, you know, that quirk is yours. But if you want, I'll remove the fire. Todoroki would stop and would turn around and look at him. What did you just say? If you want, I'll remove the fire. You won't have to have your fire's half anymore. But doing that, it will get rid of a very vital part of you and could possibly ruin your quirk. Todoroki hears it and turns around. You're telling me that you can get rid of my fire half. Izuku would nod. Todoroki would say, oh yeah, if you can, then do it. Izuku would think, it will take your quirk around at least 2 days to get back, to change, but your quirk will change after doing this. Todoroki would straight up tell him he doesn't care. Izuku would say, okay. He swiped downward with his hand, and Todoroki saw like this black line go clean across his body, and then he saw his right half, which was his fire half, literally just start getting pulled from that half, and that orb then floated towards Izuku, who took it. Izuku then would tell Todoroki, about a week, like I told you. He said, no, about 2 days. Wait 2 days and you'll see. So we actually have to time skip 2 days because we're going to push back the hero versus villains. Todoroki woke up the next day and he looked in the mirror. His other half of his hair was completely white. Todoroki looks confused now, and so does Endeavor and his siblings, Natsuo and Fuyumi. They'll quickly question this, and Todoroki will straight up explain he has absolutely no idea. He ended up lifting up his right hand as instantly his right hand generated ice. His eyes grew wide as his left hand did the same exact thing. A smile appeared across his face. He would immediately go back to U.A quickly, as when he gets there, Todoroki realizes something. He never felt his ice half being as powerful as it currently is. This feels like so extremely powerful. Todoroki, as he's running towards U.A, all of a sudden he begins to get picked up, almost like he's starting to fly. Todoroki didn't realize he now has ice wings. He arrived at U.A where he'll quickly would rush inside, where everyone notices that all of a sudden all white hair. Bakugo will question everyone all at the same time, questions saying, wasn't your hair red at first? Todoroki just lies and says it changes randomly. As he just rushes towards Izuku, would immediately grab him and say, come here. As he literally just drags Izuku out of the room, Izuku's like, I'm gonna need you to stop pulling me around like a damn rag doll. What? What did you do? What you told me to do? I removed your fire. Todoroki's like, how? Deku would say, I split your quirk. After that, I didn't basically combine the other half with anything, and I just let the other half regrow. And basically, I removed all essence of fire and just created yourself a perfect ice quirk. But the problem is, the other half of your body is still meant for a fire quirk. Or any quirk that has a heat-based ability. That is why I made the ice that you generate from that half to be a little warm, to be like a very hot ice. So don't touch it. You still have ice, it's just, you still basically have a form of fire. It's just not extremely powerful. And I did that by taking a very, very, very small piece of your fire quirk and putting it on there. And just mix it up, and basically, that's about it. I wasn't expecting it to turn into that, but hey, it did, so whatever. He was thinking, well, explain the hair. The hair is just a side effect of your quirk, I think. I have no fucking clue. It's just says, I'm being real shit, I got no clue. Todoroki's like, so fucking useless. And he just walks away, and Deku's like, I helped you. Thank you. Todoroki says they didn't arrive back into the room where Izuku would take his seat, and so would Todoroki. Everyone looks at him and asks, what was that about? Izuku says, nothing much. Kaminari then would tell Izuku, hey, so what do you think we're going to be doing now? And Izuku says, no idea. As they're saying this, Aizawa walks to the room, and class will resume per normal until it's the end of the day. As at the end of the day, everything around him just begins to shake, 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 shake. Now bow, 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 boom! I am here. Walking through the door like a normal person. No, you're not. Immediately, All Might looks upward to see Izuku, the kid that he saw a few days ago, and the kid that fought Todoroki and seemingly had the sludge villain's quirk. He immediately looks at Izuku first, thinking for a second. It's definitely him. Well, he'll think he must be aligned with All For One. There's no way he isn't. But he doesn't say this out loud. He'll look at Izuku and say, and you are? Izuku says, he'll say, the name's Izuku Midoriya, nice to meet you. He held out his hand as All Might would just look at it up and down. Sorry, kid, I'm a teacher now. I can't, physically touch the students. Izuku's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. All Might would say, well, damn. It hurt my feelings a bit, I ain't gonna lie. Izuku says, I'm sorry, All Might. It's just the truth. All Might's like, feelings hurt. Feel stupid. As All Might just sits down, and Izuku's like, he's so emotional. You're a grown-ass man, he thinks. But All Might would just simply look upward and say, alright. He didn't immediately organize teams like normal. Everything's starting to presume the same way. Izuku hero costume will be... Let me explain this, okay? Very quickly. The hero costume will be, imagine All Might's costume, right? Number one, actually prime All Might's costume, give it a cape, change the color scheme up a bit, and give it a symbol on his chest. The symbol will be 2 red lines and a circle. All Might has absolutely no idea what the fuck that means. No one does, actually. It's literally a circle with 2 lines through it and 2 lines on the side. Everyone asks what the symbol means. Izuku then explain. Yeah, he has no clue himself. Everyone instantly face palms like, God, this guy is embarrassing. But the first match is Izuku versus Kaminari and Todoroki. Immediately, the two of them will look at each other, and he said, and the team is Izuku and Toro versus Kaminari and Shoto. Deku sees this and with sigh as he walks inside. He'll look at her before walking towards her before saying, listen up. No one knows what it is I'm about to do. And this is only temporary, okay? He puts his hand on Toro. Well, he says, Toro, where's your hand? Toro says, oh, right here. She's holding the glove. He'll say, I'm good because, I kind of didn't want to, touch the naked girl. Toro immediately becomes red. Izuku then will straight up pull out an extra pair of clothes before saying, put these on. She looks confused before saying, why? Izuku says, trust me, you're going to want to. And she just thinks, oh, okay. She puts on the extra set of clothes and she's like, Izuku, these are a little big. Izuku says, sorry, I don't know, mess with the strings a little bit. Y'all know how to do your own clothes and stuff. I don't. Izuku then will say, but he didn't place his hand on Toro. Toro immediately shines a brilliant light as instantly she became visible. Toro looks confused. He didn't yell. He didn't say, you now can activate and deactivate your invisibility, but you also can basically shine bright like a diamond at will. Also, you can do one pretty cool thing, which is you're able to control light particles, which means you can essentially make the person you're fighting blind. Very overpowered when you think about it. She straight up says, whoa, that's cool. How did you do that? It says, one of my abilities is called boost. I'm able to boost up a person's quirk temporarily. Or so he claims. But times tip. Izuku could be seen running throughout the building when all of a sudden you hear a voice yell, hey, Deku! Deku turns around to see. He yells, Izu. Deku turns around and see a fist shooting forward towards him. Like all the way from across the hall, a fist literally could be seen flying at him. Deku instantly dodges immediately as he grabs onto Kaminari's arm, but Kaminari expected this, and immediately lightning generated through his fist. Izuku gets electrocuted from basically, touching it. As Kaminari's fist comes flying back to him as he basically recovered his fist. Kaminari now has a smirk on his face. Izuku then rushes towards Kaminari just to be punched by an ice gauntlet that formed clean out of the wall itself. Shoto then will walk forward before telling them they're not going to get to the bomb. And they then will ask where is... They then immediately begins to... Izuku then will immediately nod as Toro became invisible along with her clothes as she ran and she ran straight past Todoroki and Kaminari. She goes through the floors, right? And As she's going through each floor, she's searching every single room while Izuku could be seen rushing towards Todoroki, who shoot a giant ice fist at him just for the ice fist to instantly melt, and Izuku could be seen breathing fire. He'll jump upward and unleash a huge blast of fire from his mouth just for Todoroki to instantly lift up his hand as that blast of fire gets put out by this mist that Todoroki emitted. Todoroki lowered his hand as Todoroki then would instantly emit a red ice wave that shot towards Deku. Todoroki was confused because of, like yesterday, his ice wasn't red. Why is it red all of a sudden? But Izuku sees this coming at him, and Izuku would immediately dodge before spawning an ice water, before spawning a huge wave of ice. A tidal wave. This wave of water shot towards him as Todoroki lifted up his hand and immediately begins to freeze it. Izuku all of a sudden hears something, and she hears Toro's voice saying, "Izuku, the bomb isn't in the building." He'll say, "What? Search the roof." Immediately Toro goes outside and begins to search the roof. And she immediately called him again. The bomb isn't on here either. Izuku would think, where the hell is the bomb then? Immediately Todoroki could be seen running at him as he immediately has this ice-like armor appear across his body. Todoroki jumps up and he instantly yeets a punch at Izuku that sends him flying. For Todoroki beginning to spin rapidly, he straight up just starts spawning ice spears everywhere. Deku then will weave hand signs, weave hand signs for saying water style, water bullet jutsu. Kaminari then yelled, "Naruto fan!" Deku says, "Fuck you!" As Kaminari says, "Fuck you!" As immediately they just run towards each other. And Deku then says, "Water prison!" Immediately Kaminari gets froze as a huge, a water bubble appears around him and Kaminari can't move and he's holding his breath and it's very obvious. Todoroki on the other hand instantly jumps upward and just conjures up an ice fist that flies at Izuku, nothing but ice fist flying at him. Izuku just dodges every last one of them, just for Todoroki to spawn right behind him as his ice sword goes clean into Izuku's stomach. Izuku holds his stomach in pain before looking around saying, "Where's the bomb? Damn it, where's the bomb?" Immediately Izuku would yell as instantly an explosion of energy is released off him as his wound closes up with sludge. Izuku just now noticed the fact that it did it. He's like, "Oh my god, I got regeneration. Holy shit, I got a form of regeneration. I did not know." Izuku's body instantly morphed, distorted, and changed as he transformed into the sludge villain-like form. All Might sees in his eyes instantly glow. There's no way he'll think. All Might instantly balls up his fist as he's about to jump down, when all of a sudden he'll hear a voice telling him there's no need to do that. All Might looks around like, who the fuck? As all of a sudden Nezu popped out of his costume. He's like, when did you, what the fuck? Nezu just says, Izuku has a very similar quirk to one of your enemies you faced. I'm pretty sure you remember him, All For One. All Might says, what? Izuku's the grandson of All For One and the grandson of Nana Shimura. Due to Inko's daughter kinda sleeping with the son of All For One, getting married, and they both did not know who their parents were until Asashi sort of figured it out after cracking a case that involved All For One as he was overseas and kind of scanned their DNA, noticing how similarities they look, and discovered that was his father. And also Inko Midoriya was always known to be Nana Shimura's daughter by the Hero Commission Agency, but it was kept secret. All Might looks enraged and says, what is his quirk? Nezu straight up whispers it. No one else in class when they could hear Nezu, only All Might heard everything he said, and he whispers, all for all. All Might hears that it's completely flabbergasted. As Izuku sludged and Izuku shot a fist forward, and Todoroki shot an ice fist. The two fists clashed, and Izuku instantly combined one for all into it, and instantly goes clean through Todoroki's ice fist and punches Todoroki and sends him flying. For Izuku to return back to his human form and would zoom forward, unleashing a huge Detroit smash, yelling, "Detroit smash!" This punch immediately created a shockwave that slammed directly into Todoroki, knocking him unconscious. All Might then would tell them All Might would tell them that they got like 10 minutes. Izuku charges towards Kaminari and immediately punches him and sends him flying. Before Kaminari would instantly shoot forward back at Izuku like a rubber band and would punch him and send him flying. Izuku then would think, damn it, that quirk is annoying. Kaminari then sort of rolls up into a ball and rushes at Izuku with lightning. Izuku's like, what the fuck? As Kaminari bounces, as he just starts shooting around the place, he charges towards Izuku as ice wraps around Izuku's legs and then his arms. Izuku thinks, damn it, as Kaminari yells, spin dash, as it slams directly into Izuku. And Izuku actually could be seen holding back a bit. He then looks at him and says, "Alright, that's enough." Chains shot out of Izuku's hands and lashed on both Todoroki and Kaminari. Izuku then activates Speeding Bullet as he forms a little baton out of basically sludge and then combines One for All at 30% and just starts zooming around beating the shit out of him with it. And y'all already know he done. As soon as that happened, he was done. Izuku then would think, geez, that was a lot easier than I was expecting. Now Toro and him are looking for the bomb when Toro will tap Izuku. Izuku says, "What is it, Toro?" She then will point upwards. Izuku and Toro look up and they're like, when did they? You can see the bomb being froze on top of the roof where they were just fighting. Says, better yet, how did that not get destroyed? She would say. Izuku just straight up immediately activates floats up there, and instantly blasts his fire onto the ice, melting it. Not too much so to the point whenever it won't work. Uses telekinesis, his mother's quirk, and pulls the bomb towards him and touches it. His team is now declared as the winners. I am somehow recording a 2-hour long video. Possibly 2 hours. Possibly. I ain't gonna lie. Y'all probably never go get another fucking too long of a video. But Izuku ends up taking this. Literally turns around. Thanks, okay, we did good. Now we can time skip to when they're all on the bus. Well, actually, time skip to whenever Izuku goes into his dormitory and Bakugo has just moved in. Deku then explains everything to Bakugo, the truth about his quirk and everything that he knows so far. Bakugo straight up tells Izuku, "You knew about this your whole life. Constantly hearing the voice telling you to do fucked up things, and sometimes you listen to it." The voice then tells Izuku, "Kill him. He shouldn't know." Izuku's arm rolls up for a second, but he instantly lowered it. "Yeah, that's why I never used it." Bakugo then tells him, "I'm gonna be real with you, I would have been became a villain. But personally, I'm kind of scared of you, I ain't gonna lie. But with that quirk, do you know how powerful you can become? Do you know how powerful you could have made me?" Deku would say, "Yeah, I do. I do." Bakugo would tell him, "So, you helped out Todoroki. You helped out the Kaminari kid due to his quirk weaknesses." Izuku would nod. "Boost me then, that ain't fair." Deku then says, "Oh my, fine." He lifts up his hand and walks towards Bakugo. "I told Toro this was temporary, but it isn't." He places his hand on Bakugo's. All of a sudden, Bakugo begins to feel a surge of power. Yeah, I know how powerful One for All made Bakugo's explosions. Yeah, they're literally exactly right there. Exactly right there. Just as strong. And no broken bones. So, overpowered now. Deku then will tell Bakugo he's going to he has to go back around before tomorrow to get a few more quirks from the villains within the prison. But Todoroki and Kaminari are surprisingly a very good duo. So actually, before the USJ attack about a day before, Izuku goes into the prison where a new warden is now there, and most of the guards there are horrified of him when the moment he walked in. A lot of villains are scared of him too. Izuku walks towards a door where he sees a villain that is completely held down. Way more chains than one in Endeavorfall. Izuku sees this villain who literally has his arms cut off. Asks what's up with the cut off arms. They don't explain the villain's quirk. Touch of death. The villain quirk allows him the ability to anything that he touch essentially dies. It isn't an instant death, but he can basically absorb the energy from something that he touched constantly into that person, either literally turns into dust or can die from a tap. Izuku hears it and thinks, this is an overpowered quirk. What does it do for him? It makes him stronger. Incredibly stronger, faster, and even smarter. All the knowledge they have is added on top of his own. He says, "Cool." And he straight up takes this dude's quirk without hesitation, with no hesitation whatsoever, none at all. And they didn't tell Izuku who's next. Izuku then will walk towards someone. Him. His quirk allows him the ability to make, his quirk is a very weak one, isn't it? But combined with the quirk that was given to him by the villain All for One, his quirk allows him the ability to essentially manipulate sound. Izuku would say, "I'll take it." Actually, I'll take it twice. Izuku straight up takes the quirk, splits it in half, and allows it to regenerate. About the next day, he ends up giving this quirk to Bakugo, which allows his Bakugo to basically silence his explosions. Which is very good because Bakugo will no longer go deaf from its explosions, and Bakugo can create huge sound waves if his explosions aren't doing the trick. And he gave the other half to Jiro without her knowing. Because Kaminari kind of has a trust on Jiro, and it's like very obvious and everyone knows. Izuku would approach Toga, and Toga then would ask Izuku, so what do you want? Izuku then would ask her, so you want to have dinner sometime? Toga then would say, we live in the same house, every day we have dinner. Izuku then says, no, I mean like a date. Kirishima would say. Izuku instantly turns red before looking at him like, you know what? Bet. You know what? Bet, you little bitch. You're gonna see. Hey, Kachan! Kirishima jumps up and says, yo, what you doing? What are you doing? Come here real quick. Bakugo walks forward. Kirishima got something to say to you. Kirishima says, you're a very manly dude, but I also want you to know, if you was a girl, I would fuck. And like, everybody instantly looks at him like, bro, what the fuck? Kirishima said, I said if. We didn't need to hear that. We really didn't. So, hey, I'm just saying the truth. I high-key would. And Kirishima just like, oh, Bakugo's like, oh, hell no. He bags back a bit before saying, you know, I did not need to know you thought of me like that. I feel sort of uncomfortable now, but, sure. Izuku said, you should see his mom. And Bakugo immediately straight up launched at Izuku. To everybody, Izuku says, yo, don't do that. You could fuck up the whole bus. Bakugo's like, true. Mention my mother like that again, I'ma kill you. Kaminari says, what about his mom's? Immediately Bakugo says, don't you fucking dare. Deku pulls out his phone and shows him a picture, and Kaminari says, God damn! So does Mineta, and everyone just turns. Izuku's like, I completely forgot you was even. My God, you never come out that room unless we're in school, and you don't talk at all. That's surprising. Mineta then says, yeah, what you be doing in your room? Mineta says, I'm a top tier world champion in Fortnite. Are you sure this is a 15-year-old child? Izuku would ask, and they'll say, he's 15. I'm a gamer. I post on YouTube and shit. Oh, I thought he'd be talking to himself. Yeah, me too, all of them would say at once. And then it just says, fuck you guys. He just turns around. Izuku then thinks, I do have an extra quirk. I'm feeling genuous. Izuku will walk towards Mineta and would tap him. Little does Mineta know, Izuku just boosted his quirk. And honestly, just because I don't think this isn't like a super powerful quirk, but you know how true seeking orbs work, except for, they won't kill anything that they touch. So that's basically what Mineta's quirk just became. He now can basically turn the balls in his head into literally anything that he wants, and they can float. And basically they float beside him, they float off him, so you don't have to, grab them. He can control where they go with his mind. So he's able to create discs and stuff that they can walk on, create a huge one. They can become invisible, all types of stuff. It's pretty cool now. Time skip. Izuku and everyone arrive at the USJ, and when they arrive, they all go inside. As they all enter, Izuku would instantly crack his neck. Alright guys, we aren't going to be holding back at all, and we're going to kill. Now we're going to kill this thing, okay? Kill this thing? Izuku instantly turns around, what the fuck? As he sees a man in a tuxedo. Too bad all of you are going to die. The man immediately rises back his fist and punches Izuku and sends him completely flying. As instantly a portal appears as the Nomu walks out and instantly slams his fist into Izuku as well. As the man also punches Izuku, and then Izuku goes another way just for Izuku's body to be kicked by another person. And he gets kicked dead into the Nomu that punches him back into All For One. Immediately Bakugo launches this man, but the man literally grabs his arm, punches Izuku, and then throws Bakugo at the same fucking time. As then the man instantly unleashed this wave of energy off of his body that slams all the classrooms into different directions. All For One then would snap his fingers as Korogiri appears. Yes, y'all, this is All For One. Ends up creating portals that teleports everyone away. Izuku does not know All For One's his grandfather, okay? I'm taking that back. He don't know that, okay? Only Asashi know the truth. But Izuku could be seen hitting a few flips as he ends up mid-air, activating float and launches towards this man at full speed. The man looks at him. I call him the man anytime Izuku goes to attack. Anytime he attacks, I'm going to call him All For One because Izuku doesn't know who this is. But he launches himself towards the mysterious man and goes in for a full power assault. But All For One instantly dodges his attacks and straight up punches this man in the stomach and grabs Izuku by the skull and slams him on the ground just for water spikes to shoot out in all directions at All For One. All For One dodges to see an ice fist fly at him. He instantly thinks, ain't no way, I thought he teleported that boy. Immediately, the ice fist slams directly into him and sends him flying. But then you'll see Todoroki, who could be seen standing up, saying he froze the portal. Izuku says, "You did what? How did you even?" Todoroki say, "Long story, Toon Force." Deku's like, "What?" As Todoroki literally just straight up charges in, Izuku says, "Yo, he's too strong." Todoroki ends up getting a tendril shot clean through him. All for One grabs Todoroki, proceeds to yeet him and send him flying. Deku turns around with red eyes. He then yells, 40%. Blitzing at forward and slamming his fist into All for One, he's sent flying. As in, the mysterious villain that kicked Izuku like the other time appears right in front of him and grabs Izuku's face, yells, "Die." But Izuku just looks at the man and hurls 2 fingers at the man's stomach and yells, "You first." As a water bullet goes clean through the man's stomach multiple times. Before Izuku twisted his hand and it went through the other half as the man falls over just for muscles to repair his body. The man looks at him irritated. "Ugh. I said die!" He straight up slams his hand on the ground. This is Shigaraki. Instantly the ground starts to disintegrate. Izuku sees this and literally floats upward and spawns lightning tendrils that shot all around him and begin to electrocute him as it held him down, just for Izuku to slam one of them directly into his face and send him flying. Izuku then begins to walk towards him. "How about you fucking die?" Izuku lunged forward at full speed and yelled, "I'll kill you myself then." Shigaraki sees Izuku coming and immediately don't hesitate. Cracks his neck and zoomed right behind him and says, "Too fucking bad." He slams his leg directly into Izuku. A shockwave happens as the Nomu rushed forward and punched Izuku as well. Just for Izuku to activate One for All on top of his water quirk and unleash a blast of water in all directions. Izuku then claps his hands together and this weird greenish liquid begins to form. Izuku then would yell, "Bye-bye." This liquid slams directly into the Nomu's head, face first, and the Nomu head straight up melted. They don't often even think, did this nigga just, Shigaraki don't think, did he just make acid forcibly? By combining the lightning whips, water quirk, fire quirk, and sludge villain? And sludge quirk together? Izuku then straight up spawned scythes, literally arms of scythes that came clean out of his back. As then he also straight up just freaking spawned boosters of water from his feet and blasted forward. And immediately launched himself directly at All for One and punches him with One for All combined with that, and then slashes him multiple times before kicking this man with a water wave, and then punching him again with another sludge fist. It ends up slamming All for One into the ground. Izuku then would jump backwards and clap his hands together, creating a huge vibration, a wave that slams into him. Just for Izuku to begin to zoom all around him with 300 times the speed of a bullet. But All for One ends up backhanding Izuku and sending him flying. Izuku now looks confused. Bro can see him? All for One then zips directly at Izuku and punches him, sending him flying, where Izuku immediately begins to emanate fire, as his whole right half spawned a fireball he threw at All for One, just for Todoroki to unleash an ice wave that slams into Shigaraki. As the fire wave hit All for One, the ice wave hit Shigaraki at the same time. All for One stands up and he instantly coughs out some blood, saying, "Damn it, Shigaraki, I'm running out of time." We cut on over to the water zone where Mineta and Tsuyu is, as Mineta, underneath water, instantly his quirk activates and forms a dome around him. It's see-through and Mineta sees buttons. He immediately thinks, what the fuck? As he begins to click buttons and it begins to move like a fucking submarine, finding Tsuyu. Tsuyu sees the submarine and instantly goes into attack it, but she sees Mineta on the inside of it and she literally basically just gets pulled in the moment she basically made contact with it. Y'all, the truth-seeking orbs can turn into literally any fucking thing, so I just decided why not make Mineta be able to do this. I think this is kind of cool. He can control it with his mind, but he thinks, he's thinking that he can control this like a submarine, so it's being controlled like a submarine. Just no technology. It's basically literally just a fucking whatever the hell those things is on his head. So once this happened, All for One ends up rushing towards Izuku one final time, yelling, "Die!" as a powerful lightning bolt, like a powerful one, shoots at Izuku. But Izuku activates the touch of death. And immediately he straight up absorbs the energy from this attack and slams his hand on the ground, yelling, "Die!" Immediately, all the life force around him begins to get absorbed as Shigaraki falls on the ground, feeling his life force get absorbed as well, and so does All for One. All for One then straight up says, "Damn it, we have to go." He immediately teleports away to Nomu's body and Shigaraki. As he teleports away, takes the quirks back and like basically thinks, Ujiko, prepare the perfect Nomu. I'm gonna take its body instead. I'm gonna take its body. If it works, I'll be strong enough to fight that boy and kill him myself. Shigaraki then would think, what do you mean by take its body? We cut over to where Toga is. Toga could be seen easily cutting down villains with blood swords. She turns around and shot off a huge, powerful blood fist that goes directly into a villain and slams it through multiple walls. Toga then begins to want to twist towards a villain, as she now has a sadistic look in her eyes, and she ends up cutting the villain and licking his blood. Ochako sees this, and so does Momo. They just immediately cringe at that, thinking disgusting. As the villain explodes, and she just starts slashing through them all, as she begins to literally control villains and make them fight each other. Toga then would laugh, as she would say, now where's my Izuku? One villain then would straight up tell her they don't know. Izuku, she then would grab this villain by the skull, as this villain begins to feel his quirk get forcibly cancelled. Bloodbenders can do that with, bending, so I decided why not make Toga be able to do that with blood. Yet again, I have no idea when I paused this. I swear to God, it keeps happening. I'm sorry. I ain't gonna lie, I have to end this off right here. I know this was going to originally be a movie, but it sort of paused at a moment when I just don't know when it paused. You know what? I'm not gonna end it. Y'all comment down how many times I fucked up, but I kind of covered like Toga and Izuku's romantic dinner. I don't feel like doing that over, but here's just basically what happened the fast way. Kaminari was the waiter. Kaminari threatened Izuku. Bakugo threatened Toga. Toga told Bakugo if he were to touch her, she would make his dick explode. I also covered the USJ. I don't know if that was covered, but it was like an hour. It was like a very long part of the story. So I pray to God that was covered whenever I post this video, because it was a very good part. But you know what? No, I'm not doing it. Fuck it. I have to do it. I literally have to do it. No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna like speed through it in case I didn't, because it kind of happened. Basically, All For One was there. Shigaraki was there. The Noma was there. Shigaraki now has a strength enhancing quirk, basically stolen Muscador's quirk. And All For One was trying to kill Izuku off so that he could take the quirk and get it all over with. So yeah, that was basically it. Toga beats the shit out of a lot of people. Mineta created a submarine out of his hair, and yeah, time skip. Now we're at the UA Sports Festival, which we're about to cover right now, and hopefully, it won't pause again out of nowhere. But the UA Sports Festival will begin with Bakugo saying the same shit he did in canon, but everyone just looks at him like he's an idiot. The race will begin, and the moment the race happens, Izuku, who can go up to 40% at this point, well, actually, Izuku goes up to 100% because he knows his sludge quirk is just going to heal him. He cracks his neck, activates 100%, combines with his speeding bullet, and he was literally gone. The man ran at 3,000 miles per hour. And he quickly landed at he got to the finish line. Immediately, bro was sweating like crazy. He falls down on his knees and like, oh my God. Jesus Christ, that was the most tiring thing I've ever experienced in my life. Everyone looks completely surprised, but, he did it. He did his thing. Deku then turns around and says, all right, I'm first place. Of course, first place still does give him the 1 million headband, but guess who's on his team? Kaminari, Mineta, Toga, and Kirishima. Who else on teams? Bakugo, Todoroki, Tsukiyomi, and Ochako, and I'm gonna say, fucking random. Deku sees that team, he knows. Yeah, that's the team that's automatically go fight us. Let's not even much waste our time. Deku instantly clapped his hands together and a sonic boom shot towards them. Bakugo instantly activated his sonic powers and basically canceled out the noise, but he didn't cancel out the attack. And tells everybody dodge. Immediately everybody moved as Bakugo created a sonic wave that shot back towards him. Immediately Deku sees it and instantly cracks his neck as he zooms at Bakugo. Bakugo then zoomed at him and created a huge explosion. Immediately the attacks slammed together and instantly everyone is surprised at the power these two are emitting. Bakugo didn't realize Deku headband isn't on him. He turns around and sees Toga, who has the headband. Bakugo's like, I'm not fucking with her. I'm not. She going to make my dick explode. He then turns around and sees Ochako, who rushes at Toga and like shit begins to throw hands, and he's like, "Oh shit!" Ochako then would literally be on Ochako. I mean, Ochako's not on Toga. I want Izuku. She'll yell, and Toga. Well, she won't yell, but she'll whisper this in Toga's ear. That's never Toga then would yell. I can have both of y'all. This causes Ochako to turn extremely red, like extremely, and she says, "Wait, what?" Toga says, "I didn't stutter." Ochako hears and she said, "What do you mean by both of us?" As she's red. Toga says, "Girl, I mean a threesome." And she's turning red, like extremely red, and she just straight up tells her, "Go." As Toga literally gets up and runs. As she runs, you can see literally Kirishima blitzing forward at Tetsu. I'm gonna say the random was Tetsu. They fist clash, and Tetsu metal instantly shattered. As Kirishima ends up uppercutting my man into oblivion. He then ends up running as Deku basically is launching, throwing attack after attack. And then they would yell, "First winners, Team Izuku." Dude just turned around, looked at Bakugo, and smirked. Bakugo, instantly realizing what it is he did, has a very angry look on his face. "You bitch!" he would yell as he rushes at Deku. Deku immediately turns around and books it. Todoroki also shoots at Deku as well. Deku also grabs his other teammates with his telekinesis, which he does have. It's not like Inko's where he can only pull small objects. Deku can he can push objects towards him and cause objects to temporarily float and basically control them with his mind by combining float and telekinesis. He ended up making it across there, where his team and him makes it to the finish line. Now, time skip. It's now time for my favorite part, the tournament. And the tournament is, first round is Deku versus Shinso. See, unlike normal, Deku don't hold back, and Deku ain't finna hesitate. Deku looks at Shinso with a straightforward facial expression. Bye. As Shinso didn't even get to speak, and Deku instantly shot a huge wave of wind from his fingers and knocked Shinso clean out of the ring. Shinso looks extremely aggravated. Now we time skip again. We appear directly at the shit, damn it. Oh yeah, the next match, Deku versus Shoto. Deku walks into the ring before telling Shoto, "My guy, you don't want this." Shoto straight up tells him, "You're right. Endeavor's been constantly yelling at me to use my fire, which, I no longer fucking have. Deku will say, "True. So, show him something better." Todoroki then would smile. As immediately Todoroki says, "Prominence." Instantly, a powerful blue orb starts emanating off Todoroki. Endeavor sees this and thinks, "Wait, in no way, he's gonna use blue fire?" Oh my god. Immediately, Todoroki then zipped, literally at such booming speeds. Deku looked confused. When did he get this fast? Todoroki's right in front of him with lightning coming off his body. Todoroki then would yell, "Detroit Smash." Deku hears it and thinks, "Wait, what?" As his punch connects full blown and sends Deku flying. And I know what y'all thinking. Todoroki, one for all? And you'll be right. Todoroki, one for all. Todoroki ends up running back. This boy begins to dance as he begins zoom, boom, 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 boom. Todoroki then ends up hitting a few flips. Now, mind y'all, Todoroki's going to be way more built in this timeline because I feel like it makes no sense for Todoroki not to be built since, or for any of the characters not to be. It makes no sense how they look. But bro should have more muscle than that. You've been getting beat the fuck out of by somebody that's around All Might's level and pure size alone. He should be this strong. Todoroki can use up to 50% of one for all. Yeah, strong. Combined with his ice quirk in his flaming ice. He then zoomed all around it before yelling, "Prominence freeze." Deku hears that and instantly thinks, "I don't got time for this shit. If I fight him, I more than likely am going to have a pretty bad time." He opens up his hand and then yells, "Nitro Storm." Todoroki hears it. Everyone hears it and thinks, "What the hell?" As black tendrils begin to swarm in his hand extremely quickly. As the attacks slam together, creating a massive blast, Deku then yells, "Rasengan!" The two moves end up completely repelling against each other. As Todoroki hit a few more flips backwards, and Endeavor can only think, how did he do that? Since when did Todoroki have strength enhancing as well? But his eyes just begin to smile more. That means my son is gonna be even better than All Might with his own strength on top of that. Yes, Shoto! And Shoto immediately begins to spawn a very dark blue ice. Deku sees it and thinks, oh shit. Prominence freeze. Endeavor hears it and just keep thinking, bro, use your fire. I am! Todoroki yelled. Endeavor then thinks, wait, what? As the attack shot towards Deku. Deku sees this coming at him. He thinks, I am not finna deal with that hot ass ice. Everyone heard exactly what Deku says, and they says, hot ice? The dark blue ice is hot ice. The light blue ice is regular cold ice. Dale says, how would that even work? As the attack rushes towards Izuku, Izuku instantly flies clean into the air. Immediately begins to spawn a sword out of sludge. He then begins to spin and move it around perfectly. He then straight up yell, yeet! Deku then straight up yells, hey Endeavor! You want Todoroki to use your power so badly? You've been an idiot this whole time. His quirk evolved, he would yell. It's no longer half hot, half cold. Well, sort of. His quirks fuse together. He can generate cold or hot ice. Fire is no longer there. Endeavor hears it and just thinks, what? Izuku then would breathe in. He then would yell, but I got fire. And a massive blast, and I mean a humongous one, shot downward towards Todoroki. Todoroki looks shocked as Izuku then keep blowing fire as the fire begins to change into a rainbowish like color before that color became a pure dark black. As it slams into Todoroki's flames, will attack and knocks Todoroki clean out of the ring. Deku could be seen standing victorious. The next fight, Deku versus Bakugo. Deku walks into the ring and he sees Bakugo. He looks at him, but we never covered this fight. We gotta cover Kaminari versus Ibara right now because I gotta give my man some type of credit for something. Well, I've been giving him a lot of credit, but still. Kaminari walks into this ring and cracks his neck. He looks at Ibara up and down. I ain't gonna lie, he'll say, you kinda good looking. I ain't gonna lie. I don't really want to fight a lady. I feel wrong doing so. So, Kaminari turns around and says, I'll let you. Immediately, Kaminari gets held down by vines. I am a woman of God. I am an angel of mistress of the Lord. I will not allow you to disrespect me by walking away. Kaminari then turns around. I don't want to fight a woman. Do I look as if I care? She would say. He'll say, clearly not. She then would say, you will face me at once. Kaminari then would tell her, it's disrespectful and wrong to fight me, to fight a woman. It's disrespectful to turn your back against your enemy. She'll say. Kaminari scratches the back of his head like, yeah, that's true, I'll give you that. As she rushes at Kaminari instantly sees this, jumps forward, rounds back his fist, and creates a lightning punch and slams it directly at her. But her wave of hair appears, but his lightning goes clean through it. As his fist his fist gets stretched out and literally wrapped around her and slammed her onto the ground. Kaminari's quirk, rubber boat, everyone calls it. His quirk allows his body to be rubber, and that rubber is able to generate lightning at will, and he's able to completely manipulate any limb of his body, stretching it or making it bigger, smaller. One of the class 3A girls would say, wait, what? And she immediately turns around being red. Everyone sees her and they all just look at her. Seriously? She then says, he's basically a freshman, you creep. One of them would say, hey, I don't care. And they just look at her with looks of creepy ass little girl. Time skip. Deku could be seen walking forward as he then would yell, Kaminari! If you lose this fight, I will punish you personally. Kaminari said, shut up. Togedem said, if you lose this fight, I'll punish you. Kaminari instantly turned around, his lightning became pure red. Everybody sees that. And he's like, are you more afraid of her than me? He'll say, absolutely, he would yell. And Deku's like, oh, I see how it is. Toga then would sit beside Deku and they would just be all covered up, all lovey-dovey and shit. But yeah. Everybody just thinks, oh, look at that little couple. So young, so pure. Little life is gonna get ruined. One of them adults would say, But Deku could be seen as he launches, as he tells Kaminari to do the attack we've been working on. Kaminari then will begin to move his fist around rapidly. His fist begin to spin a lot as lightning begin to be generated, as then Kaminari begins to do the same thing both of his fists as lightning tornadoes begin to form. But as he's spinning, he slowly begins to move them. And the two tornadoes in his fist combine together. He then would literally combine his freaking fist into one fist and then yeeted that thing forward, and a huge lightning tornado shot at Aibara. Aibara straight up used her hair to spawn freaking things everywhere. Kaminari noticed her hair as her main ability. And he also noticed the fact that the sunlight seems to strengthen her. He'll smirk before lifting up his hand after the lightning tornado shot at her. He then begins to focus as she rushes at him, but a lightning clone appears and punches her. She sees and everyone noticed the bro just literally just created lightning clones. As this happens, Kaminari's hair begin to rise up. His eyes begin to become a dark lightning-like color, a lightning-like mark, as thunderclouds begin to form everywhere. Kaminari then would yell, "Be gone," with a pure thunderclap. Immediately, a massive wave of thunder shot down from the sky and completely fried Aibara. Kaminari then fell down on his knees and begins to slowly lift up his thumbs. And Deku notices this as his thumb just keeps going up and down, back and forth. He's like, snap, he overdid it. The rubber quirk is overdone as well. Deku then walks into the ring as he lifts up Kaminari's hand, declaring him as the winner, even though it was kind of obvious he won. But Deku picks up Kaminari and Aibara and takes him to Recovery Girl. Now Deku versus Bakugo. Bakugo says he gave Todoroki another one. He'll whisper. Deku then starts to say, "I did not give him that. I don't know where he got that from or how he even much got that." Bakugo says, "Oh, interesting. Come here, bitch!" As he launches himself at Deku. Deku immediately dodges all of Bakugo's hits before slamming a punch into Bakugo, immediately grabbing him and slamming him onto the ground. Well, then you will hear, die. Deku turns around to see a huge punch come directly at him and send him flying. As he now sees this weird-looking creature. A creature with bright white hair. Immediately, all the pro heroes jumped down and all landed on the ring saying, "What is that thing?" All Might froze seeing this, thinking, "It can't be." All For One then begins to clap before saying, "Greetings, U.A." He sounds more monstrous, but I'm not going to do no monster. "Greetings, U.A. I've come here today to end all of your people's miseries. I want this world to know pain, suffering, and I would do whatever." I can't do it. I ain't do that in such a long time, but basically, Monster All For One blitz Deku. Deku tries to punch him just to get yeeted again. As then you'll see All Might jump forward and slam his fist directly into him and send him flying. Deku immediately notices the fact that All Might is basically injured horribly. Deku proceeds to split his sludge quirk in half and gives the other half to All Might. Instantly, One For All boosted the quirk, and All Might's body immediately begins to shiver, shake, and alter as sludge instantly, his whole body turned into sludge. All Might looks at this confused and kind of disgusted, but Deku says, "Just roll with it." As All Might immediately straight up punches All For One, and he's beginning to punch him over and over again. All For One, or Sludge, or Monster For One, immediately start bashing All Might all across the face, realizing that his punches aren't doing anything, so he spawns a fireball and blasts All Might with it. All Might screeches in pain, noticing that fire seems to be this thing's weakness. You should see Izuku and Todoroki zooming in, both with Detroit Smashes activated. All Might would also charge a Detroit Smash, and three of them would yell, "Detroit Smash!" Immediately, the attack was slammed directly into All For One, as then he would yell, "See? How's that? Easy, ain't it?" As then you'll see All For One, who could be seen standing completely uninjured. He dusts himself off before straight up clapping his hands together and forming a lightning blast just to appear right behind Izuku and blast him with an air barrier, and then blast him with an air shockwave, and then literally grab him by the skull and begins to go all into his head, trying to steal his quirks. But Izuku would also hold on to All For One as they both begin to have a vestige battle. Izuku could be seen inside of All For One's head. All For One could be inside of Izuku's head. Both of them could be seen struggling horribly as you could see the struggle going on, but Izuku finally begins to see everything that's going on inside of his head. "You're a monster," he says. "All those people." Izuku starts seeing people inside of All For One's vicious world. He begins to speak to those people, begging them to join him, to save the world, to save others. Those people hear him. as people all begin to stand up and walk towards Izuku. They all begins to go into Izuku. All for one sees his eyes grow wide. How are you doing that? He would think, that's impossible! Impossible! All for one would yell as all of a sudden Izuku instantly, his arm grew in mass as he punches All for one and sends him flying. Izuku's hair begins to flow up as his hair becomes a pure white color. As he zooms at All for one, spawns multiple more hands and punches him before spawning metal spikes out of his arm and stabs all into All for one with every single punch. All Might sees it and thinks, impossible. He stole quirks from the quirk thief? Izuku stands up and begins to approach All for one. All for one immediately stands up saying, you took over 100 quirks from me, you brat! He zips at Izuku at rapid speeds and uppercuts him and sends him flying. Before he creates a portal, he says backup plan. With a smirk, as Shigaraki immediately activates all the quirks that All for one already gave him. Like it already been stated, All for one's been using the copy this whole time and just activated All for one within Shigaraki just now. About actually a few days before this. As All for one lunges forward, immediately a whole army of villains appears. So it's the League of Villains, minus Dobby, minus Spinner, and minus the other nigga. Cause the stain shit didn't happen yet, but don't matter. Just a whole bunch of randos and a couple numbers. Immediately, All for one launched forward along with his armies. Endeavor and Snipe, Hawks, other pro heroes zoomed forward and all begin to battle the villains. As All Might, Todoroki, Izuku, Bakugo, and all of Class 1A and 2, Class 1A, 1B, and 3A are all battling these villains. So we didn't see 2A, 2A or 2B or even 3B. So who gives a fuck about them? Izuku straight up just slams his foot directly into the villain and cracks his skull as he zooms at All for one again, opens up the palm of his hand as an eye appears, and this eye ends up shooting out a massive laser. All for one would dodge. You see Izuku right behind him as his arm morphed into a monster head that bit off All for one's leg. All for one would screech as he turns around and punches a hole clean through Izuku, just for that hole to be closed up and for Izuku to grab All for one and slam him onto the ground. Most of the other quirk users didn't leave out of just fear of what All for one would do. Izuku then jumped upward into the air as he just began to throw fireballs at All for one. This then appeared right beneath him and then would yell, die. Immediately a blast of just this pure energy was released that shot into All for one. Izuku now could be seen holding All for one as he could see Shoto clearly struggling battling against a 50% fully complete Shigaraki. Izuku zooms straight past All for one, rushes in at full speed and punches Shigaraki just to send him flying, for Shigaraki to turn around and instantly spawn hands that immediately begins to decay Izuku. Izuku will fall on the ground as his whole body turns into dust. Everyone freaks out of fear, but Izuku's body begins to return. The dust particles will merge back together as Izuku could be seen standing. Immortality, Izuku would say, this is interesting. All for one immediately notices Izuku took his immortality. Rage explodes out as he zooms at Izuku again. Immediately he will all round back his fist yelling, die. A massive punch strikes Izuku with a thunderous attack and he's sent flying, being knocked unconscious. You'll see Todoroki, who could be seen clearly struggling as he froze over All for one with all of his power as he then zipped forward, slamming his fist with 1,000% of One for All and blew a massive shockwave clean through him. Moment just happened, All for one teleported away and showed that he teleported Shigaraki. All Might, who's basically, losing his power very quickly, begins to battle these creatures in the sludge venom form as One for All is constantly boosting his sludge venom quirk because the vestiges are trying their hardest to make All Might strong enough to do anything. So at this point, All Might straight up just summoned a massive sludge sword and just slicing these villains, not in half, but slicing them enough to have them unconscious. All Might falls on the ground and so does all the other heroes after All for one left. And they basically have to wait for Izuku to wake up. When Izuku wakes up, he breaks down in tears. He just lost. Something that never happened to him before. Like, ever. He never lost. So, to tell y'all that Izuku's in anger, like, so much anger, bro, it don't make no sense how mad this dude is. Like, he is fucking mad, bro. He wakes up and begins to scream in anger. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Everyone immediately rushes in there to check up on him as Toga hugs him and kisses him and just begins to cry. Izuku will kiss her back and also will cry together as then Minato will walk into the room who could, literally has a broken arm and a broken leg, and immediately he also hug Izuku, calling him brother. Everyone hears it and says, "Y'all brothers?" He'll say, "No, not literally," but all of them would just be in there cheering on Izuku, telling him that he's gonna get better. It's just he kind of overused his quirk a lot. They didn't want to finally begin to ask Izuku questions about what is his quirk. Izuku didn't explain his quirk. Ida would immediately ask Izuku a question: "Do you think he can heal his brother?" Izuku says, "I can't even heal myself right now, but maybe when I'm better, yeah." Ida immediately has the biggest smile on his face. I have not covered a single word from Ida this entire time, but yeah, Ida does ask that. And Izuku does choose to go ahead and help out Ida. As soon as Izuku gets better, he hears about what happened with Ida, and he hears about how the hero training sessions have all been canceled due to everyone starting an investigation on what happened as to how All For One was able to get into the school. The investigation is extremely serious because, well, it's not. The sports festival are broadcast online. All For One has a location quirk. He saw them. But they're all trying to figure out how to stop him. So basically, Gran Torino comes to the school himself and would train Todoroki, Bakugo, and actually a little bit All Might. All Might, who now has a new quirk, a sludge-based quirk, has to train with him and a few water-based heroes since the sludge quirk is very similar to that. But Izuku also appears in front of All Might and tells him, "You have a few strands of one for all left. We're gonna boost those strands to the absolute extreme." Izuku walks towards All Might and tells him this is going to take a while, but you're gonna get back one for all. And it's going to be completely different though. You won't be able to pass it on after this due to Todoroki being the one who has the true one for all. Izuku places his hand on All Might, and immediately lightning surged everywhere, a powerful wave of energy being released off Izuku. "I promise, All Might, I'll never lose again," Izuku says, as the powerful wave of energy explodes outward in all directions, as All Might One For All has just returned. But it isn't even real One For All, it's only the stockpiling quirk of One For All, which I'm pretty sure All Might has. There's a theory going on that quirk has become All Might's own quirk, and I'm gonna roll with that theory. I'm rolling with a lot of theories in the video, don't mind me. But pretty much so, All Might just gained this quirk, and it's very broken. Like, very tremendously, horrendously, unfairly broken at this point. Izuku then finally hears All For One's voice again. "Izuku, join me, my grandson. Join me." Izuku finally would yell as he entered the vestibule. "Why would I join you, huh? You tried to kill me twice. You got me to kill a whole bunch of people. I'll never join you. Izuku, you're already becoming closer to the dark side. As each day goes on, you become more and more evil." Izuku could be seen staring at All For One with looks of anger. "I'll never join a scumbag like you." As he spits at All For One, who easily moves out of the way before telling him, "You don't have a choice. It's in your DNA to be evil. It's who you are. You are Izuku Midoriya. Or should I call you Izuku Shigaraki?" Izuku then would literally demand that All For One leave. All For One explained that he's connected to his quirk. The moment he busted a nut into Asashi's mother, part of his quirk and his mind was connected. Izuku straight up tells him he strongly don't fucking care. As he lifts up his hand, as All For One begins to get pushed out, but All For One immediately pushes back, telling him he can take control of his own body if he wants. Izuku straight up tells him, "Not while I'm here." Immediately, waves of energy is released outward. It's every person who quirked, all the people that joined Izuku, immediately stand up against All For One, and so does the spirit of Asashi and Inko, especially them two. They fought back and a huge battle happened, but All For One is able to be chained up and to be kept back behind a powerful lock. Izuku straight up tells him he'll never take control of him. After this, we time skip on over to the Forge training camp arc, which honestly goes close to normal. So we just skip straight on over into whenever Izuku, basically in all this class when they fall down, everyone in class has now gained an extra quirk. Izuku has healed Ida's brother, and basically All Might now has to basically use One For All in full cowling. He now has shoot style, along with Todoroki and even Izuku, because Izuku used All For One the same exact way All Might normally did. Pure hands. He ain't used One For All to kick at all. Now him and Todoroki does, and Izuku gave Todoroki super durability, meaning that he now can handle One For All at 100%. But he's honestly more focused on Toga since, well, her quirk was sort of the hardest to do, so he just fucking said fuck it and gave her a copy quirk. Makes things more normal because she now can copy appearance and copy quirks. She like everything is copied, the voice, everything. And as long as she remember this, as long as she remember how the person looks and sounds, she still can do it. So time skip. Izuku could be seen doing things with Toga that involve studying, loud clapping, studying, as Toga is constantly changing forms. And when it's happened, put it simply, you hear a knock on the door as Toga would just sort of yell, "Come in!" Izuku sort of yell, "No!" As literally Ochako comes into the room as Toga is literally riding Izuku, riding him. I can't say that I want to say. My mother's room literally next door. But yeah, she's doing that. And Ochako could be seen red. She didn't want to yell, "You're joining a what?" And Ochako turns red and she says, no thing. And then Toga literally morphed into her before saying, "You don't have a choice." Izuku just literally looks stunned, as y'all already know what happens. Toga ends up tempting Ochako and she joins. After this, we kind of skip on over to the monster. Well, we actually cover the monster battle now. As, you know, Mandalay knocks them all off, Izuku immediately will look at down below. He'll say, "All right, bet, I got this." Immediately, Izuku lifts up his hand and instantly tendrils shot everywhere. These tendrils stabbed into every single monster in the forest as Kaminari immediately says, "Now." Izuku straight up says, "Slingshot," as he literally pulls back Kaminari by the head and Kaminari shoots forward like a booming lightning bolt that electrocutes every single monster that was stabbed by a tendril. Bucko then would jump upward, spin, and unleash a massive explosion just to slam his head onto the ground and yells, "Sonar." Everyone that hears to this, Bucko is able to hear where lots of hidden monsters are at. He then points them all out as everyone looks for them. They all begin to destroy these monsters with little effort as everyone is easily using their quirks to their full-on advantage. The new quirks that Zuko gave to them, mind you, at this point Zuko has over 600 quirks. Yeah, he stole like 587 quirks from all for one. Actually, 590. So yeah, he stole a lot, but don't matter. He stole more than that, but I just don't feel like making no big number. Since All For One has over thousands of quirks, I can do this. I don't fucking care. Even though for some reason All For One do not use all them quirks that he has, and I feel like this is a really bad decision on whatever that nigga name, but whatever. Izuku ends up mutating his arms into like weapons as he cuts through every single monster, while Minetta's straight up summoning weapons from his hairs and is easily surfing on these floating at his disc and jumping off to the disc and spawning more and stabbing into monsters with his hairs. Izuku confused, but he gave Mineta a metal quirk, which allows him the ability to basically turn everything he wanted to metal. He also gave Mineta a height quirk, which allows him to control his height and his hair, to change him up a bit, just because he didn't like him being a short little ugly little thing. Now time skip. After this, they ended up defeating every monster, and now it's time for the final arc. Yes, this is the final arc. You see All For One, who could be seen sitting down with basically Overhaul's group. Overhaul rushes at All For One, but All For One blows a hole clean through him and takes his quirk, before declaring that he's now in control of the Yakuza, and if anyone has a problem with that, they'll die instantly. Yeah, nobody had a problem with that. They're terrified of this man's. All For One then would say, "We now have ourselves a deal." All For One proceeds to turn around and looks on over at everyone in the Yakuza. "Bow before me and join me. We will be unstoppable together." Many people agreed, as now it's time for the great battle. Like normal, All For One creates a portal, and the portal will open up and mutated All For One walks out and Shigaraki and their entire army. Izuku sees it and thinks only people they have is Class 1A. He immediately creates great portals and teleport everyone in Class 1A away aside from himself. Also teleported away, Aizawa and all the teachers that are inside in Class 1B. He immediately teleports them all away as he then could be seen standing forward before this entire army. He activates One For All at full Cowling. He zooms forward and instantly begins to kick through multiple gang members like they were nothing, until he rushes forward as a villain, like one of the gang members grabbed Eri and straight up picked her up. Izuku froze mid-track seeing the fact that is a child. The villain then would laugh as Eri just gets teleported away by All For One, who straight up says she's very useful, especially thanks to her creating these. They begin to shoot bullets at Izuku that Izuku instantly begins to dodge. He immediately senses exactly what those bullets can do. So he zooms forward and immediately jumps upward into the air and just split every single villain quirk there in half and took half of their quirks before mixing their quirks together and shooting it directly at Eri. Eri is hit by this attack, and all of their quirks is absorbed into Eri's body, combining with her rewind quirk. Once this happened, everyone's confused, but Eri now has the knowledge of a full-blown, I ain't even much to do that. Izuku kind of just made Eri stronger because he could tell that really is a fucking child. He feels like it's really wrong what they're doing to her. So Izuku then zips forward, zoom, 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 bitch, and he sends one of them flying. He ends up clapping his hands together before yelling, "Ugh!" Hydron, and immediately blowing through multiple villains and killing multiple normals. He charges forward just to get hit by a blue fire blast. Darby could be seen walking forwards. You should just give up. A massive wave of fire is released just for that fire wave to be struck down by another fire blast. Endeavor could be seen standing upwards as multiple more pro heroes all would walk forward. An entire army of heroes have now arrived. You can say, wow, they actually knew what to do. Izuku then would straight up say, "You got yours, I got mine." All for One now has an annoyed look as he zips forward at full speed. Immediately Endeavor will rush at All for One and immediately will yell, "Prominence burn!" Immediately All for One literally dodged Endeavor's prominence burn and cut Endeavor's arm clean off before yelling, "You're not worth it." He's now zooming towards Todoroki, towards Izuku. He straight up grabs Izuku's face, but Izuku immediately creates a huge air blast that shoots directly into All for One. Izuku then would yell, "Rise, my children." Immediately a huge monstrous army appears of creatures and monsters that are all rush All for One, and the few would rush Nomus. All for One thinks, necromancy? Monsters? Immediately Izuku begins to laugh as each of the creatures begin to destroy and battle against the Nomos. Multiple creatures shoot towards All for One, but spikes exploded out everywhere, stabbing through all of the creatures. With Izuku would appear right behind All for One with his arm being morphed into guns as he shot all throughout All for One's body. Where then you'll see Shigaraki blitz forward and punch Izuku as he's sent flying. Shigaraki is now at perfect 100%. He then spawned arms just for all of a sudden Shigaraki to be not able to move. Tomura Shimura, you can no longer move. Izuku sees Shigaraki pause in his place. You'll see stars and stripes. Now I know New Order originally did not work on Shigaraki, but he's completed, so I'm assuming that this is going to work on him now. Well, he's almost complete. All for One is still gonna try to take his body, but he's 100% complete until All for One is until he dies in his body. But Izuku ends up uppercutting All for One's body and ends up basically disappearing and appearing behind him and kicking his mans. Just for you to see Eri literally, just for Izuku to teleport Eri back into U.A. into Aizawa's hands, because Aizawa is too valuable of an asset to Izuku to be out in the battlefield. His quirk is to cancel out quirks, and he can easily get rid of multiple villains by doing this. So he refuses to have Aizawa out here on the battlefield. Izuku ends up grabbing multiple villains and throwing them into each other just before zooming forward at full speed and punching a hole clean through All for One's body. As in you'll hear, "United States, I'll smash!" All for One turns around to see All Might, who punches him and sends him flying. That punch splattered All for One all over the place and created a shockwave that put him unconscious. But he woke back up in Shigaraki's body. Bro put his hand up and a purple orb appears and slams directly into All Might. All Might immediately shakes as his body begins to ache in pain as he screams. As Deku can see All Might's body getting destroyed on a molecular level, Deku will yell, "All Might, go sludge mode now!" All Might would immediately clap his hands together as his body turns into sludge before a tiny simple little part where the energy ain't at. All Might's little drop of his sludge was released as he fell out. No one noticed though as All Might completely disappeared. Fucking Stars and Stripe looks angry. She creates her giant freaking Susanoo basically and straight up tells them International Space Cruiser, I think that's the name of that move, and she straight up yeets this bitch at Shigaraki. She yells for everybody who's a pro hero to get the fuck back. They all do so, especially Izuku. The blast strikes everything around them, destroying everything. As then you'll see Izuku walk towards the tiny bit of sludge and pour nothing but water on it. As he poured water on it, All Might began to slowly reform. As then Izuku literally just throw the rest of him into like a river where All Might would return. And he could be seen zooming forward. His whole, like, he spawned nothing but swords and everything combined with one for all. They all just begin to yeet, all at the villains. Immediately, they all begin to dodge, run, and some actually, like 85% of them were hit. Only a few were able to escape. And that's barely. Most of them were Nomus. All Might appears right above a Nomu and stabs a sword clean into his brain, knowing that these things aren't even alive, so he won't even much feel bad for killing them. After killing multiple, you'll hear, "Die, Shoto," as a massive blast of fire shoots towards Shoto just for a massive ice wave to stop the attack. Dabi ends up pulling out some hair dye and revealing himself, and everybody is stunned for a moment. Endeavor can no longer fight. Todoroki's completely stunned. He can no longer fight. Izuku gets irritated by this and immediately takes over and also begins to fight in their places. Which, really pisses him off because, like, bitches, do your fucking job. I don't give a damn if this was your son. Oh, wait, this is your son. As he ends up striking down Dabi. And Dabi ends up returning. And he's like, what the fuck? As Dabi ends up shooting a blast of fire clean at Izuku. This causes Izuku to immediately jump backwards. He hit a few backflips for cracking his neck with annoyance. Okay. Immediately, Izuku begins to create nothing but clones. Every single clone charged in. All for one rushes forward. As Shigaraki would also rush forward after regenerating. Immediately, he yells, "Die! Die!" Both of them would say, "DK!" Shigaraki would yell. It's All for One, they would yell, "Die!" Immediately, a blast in a purple, like two blasts shot forward. Shigaraki combining his decay ability with a blast. Immediately, the attacks fly towards Izuku. It's for Izuku to lift up his hand, and both of the quirks that were used for those attacks are gone. In an instant, Izuku's right behind both of them with one for all 100%, and all for all at 100% of his true power. I lost the first time. I won't lose again. All for One turns around and punches Izuku, but Izuku just stands there with a dark look in his eyes. All for One immediately will say, "If I can't hurt you, do not hurt them." Immediately, spikes shot out everywhere, and one went clean through Toga, and one went clean through Ochako's chest. They fall on the ground, everyone goes silent. Every pro hero stops moving. They all sense a powerful, cold, dark aura. Izuku opens up his eyes and he says, "You fucking bastards." Everyone hears that and they all begin to back immediately. All for One will say, "Look at you, losing to a..." Holes are all throughout his body instantly. Izuku then yanks out All for One's heart and crushes it. Just for All for One to regrow another one, him to crush it again. Then he will end up slamming his hand clean through All for One, causing blood to spill out everywhere. Just for Izuku to rush forward and unleash a massive wave of energy from his hands to shoot tendrils out everywhere, yanking All for One forward and punching him relentlessly, constantly, over and over again. He begins to knee All for One all in the face, blood spilling out everywhere. Shigaraki rushed forward just for Izuku to grab him as well and slap him onto the ground and begin to pull blood from all directions. As he's pulling and ripping into Shigaraki and All for One, All Might sees it and immediately turns around and looks at the high-end Nomu. Actually, All for One then will yell, "Makia!" Immediately, a massive creature blitzes forward. Izuku sees this thing and turns around and zooms directly at a rapid speed and flies clean through it. And he begins to turn around and do it over and over again, Meliodas style, like straight up doing how Meliodas did Frowdrin, shooting all throughout his body, making nothing but holes in him. Yeah, Izuku doing the same thing to Jangato Makia. He turns around and immediately creates a huge wave of energy. He then would yell, "Kamehameha!" Yeah, he copied Dragon Ball. He don't care. The blast strikes him as Izuku spawns demonic wings as he zooms back downward. Immediately, he'll spawn horns and stab directly into All for One. All for One falls on the ground and begins to scream in pain. Izuku just begins to punch on him relentlessly. Blood spilling out everywhere. Izuku opens at the palm of his hand and just yells, "There's no point in letting you live." He just began to blast into All for One relentlessly as he enters his own mindscape as he begins to beat him down inside of his mind. "I can't kill you physically, I'll kill you mentally." Izuku begins to rip and tear apart All Might's head. All for One's head, I mean. Literally inside of All for One's own head, Izuku ripped apart the brain that causes his mind to function. All for One dies in the most cold-hearted and brutal way fucking possible. All for One no longer has a fucking mind. Izuku turns around, looks at Shigaraki, zooms at him, and punches this man's head clean off. for Shigaraki body to like try to regenerate in his head, like will be grabbed by his body and reconnect. Zuko don't care though. He zooms at him and kicks him into the air over and over and over again. He just began to zoom around. As the All Form was in, Shigaraki tries to take over, but Zuko killed that one as well. As then he kills the All For One was in his own head, shooting nothing but attacks to his heart and stealing every other quirk All For One now has. Plus One for All fully emerged within him as Zuko zooms upward, spawns a massive Thunderbolt and strikes it down, but Shigaraki would touch Thunderbolt and Thunderbolt would disappear. Zuko realized Shigaraki has Overhaul, as Overhaul would shoot forward at him, will overhaul the quirk. Izuku ended up taking the quirk from Shigaraki just to end up breaking Shigaraki's head. He crushes this man, throws him all around the place as he begins to beat into Shigaraki with blood spilling out in all directions. Die, die, die! Immediate blood is everywhere. As all of a sudden, Izuku went, yo, you killed the women I love. Everyone heard women. They're like, this boy in the threes? But they don't have the time to question it. Izuku literally kicks them, like, kicks lightning everywhere. Lightning strikes all the villains, completely fries them, killing them all. Izuku then will brave in and unleash a massive blast of fire that eviscerates Shigaraki's body. He yanks out Shigaraki's heart, then his brain, and then he just began to pull him apart with his telekinesis, yanking him everywhere. As then he crushed those body parts, then he turned them into dust. He then turns around with just the same dark aura until Toga jumps up and hugs him, telling him to stop. Izuku frees to see Toga, who basically just kissed Ochako, and Ochako would be healed. Tears start to go down his eyes, realizing the amount of people he literally just killed. He'll fall down on his knees, and well, we now do a huge time skip into years into the future, where Izuku's the #1 pro hero, Shoto's the #2, Baku's #3, and the list goes on. You see the son of Izuku in Toga, and you see the daughter of Izuku, Ochako, and you'll see the love child in between all three, even though it's literally not the love child in between all three. Toga ended up shape-shifting herself a dick and did some really freaky shit with Ochako. Really freaky shit. In Izuku. But literally a mixture of all three. This child. All three of them got a very broken quirk that I do not even much feel like trying to make up once. Just know, the next generation of heroes. Look, if y'all are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. This took me literally 2 hours to record. I may have messed up a few times because the video was paused and I have no idea where I fucked up. But now, I gave y'all a 2-hour-long video. Come on now. And then I recorded this myself. Bro, I struggle to make y'all 5-minute videos. Please, bro. Please like and subscribe.